Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live team. It is Monday night. As you can see, I'm all smiles. We're obviously here to talk about Everton's 2-1 victory against Southampton at St Mary's on Saturday afternoon. Finally an away win for Marco Silva's Everton. It feels like it's been absolutely years. It's been months since Everton went away from home and won. And you know what? It wasn't convincing. But at the end of the day, did anyone really care come 5:30 on Saturday afternoon when, you know, we looked at the score and it was 2-1 and we'd finally been relieved that Everton had gone away from home and actually got 3 points and actually won a game of football for once. So we're here obviously to give the game review. We're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about Marco Silva's lineup. We're also going to talk about some key moments in the game. And what overall for me, listen, it wasn't the cleanest away victory. It wasn't the cleanest win. It wasn't the best performance by a long stretch. I still don't think it was the best performance this season. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, does it? We went away from home and we got the 3 points. And it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be pretty. And it's not always going to be in a great fashion. I think the first half was really, really good. I think it was really, really positive. I think we were solid. I think we were much the better side. You know, Southampton were bringing very, very little. And that was to be expected from a side that got absolutely thumped 9-0 at home against, you know, a decent Leicester side a couple of weeks before that. But, you know, no disrespect to them, obviously. We were much the better side. We were creating more. Obviously, we got the goal early on in the game. Tom Davies, about 5 minutes in. Absolutely fantastic. The good cross comes in from Gylfi-Sigurdsson. I actually thought Gylfi-Sigurdsson done quite a bit creatively in this game. He shied a little bit in the second half, which he usually does. But in the first half especially, he was putting balls on plates to other players. Puts a great cross in. Mason Holgate gets the flick on. Another assist for Mason Holgate. That's 2 now in a matter of weeks for him. And Tom Davies is at the back post for an absolutely fantastic bullet header. You know, really, really accurate. Really, really loads of power. And I'm absolutely made up for Tom. You can see exactly how much that meant for him. Exactly how much that meant to him. He's been playing fantastically, Tom Davies. And you know what? Nobody deserves a place in this starting 11 more than Tom Davies, doesn't he? Should be in this starting 11 for the foreseeable future. Even when, you know, the midfield starts to get stronger. Obviously, we're lacking in midfield options at the minute. But even when the midfield starts to get stronger, when we see the likes of Fabian Delph and John Villick-Cabaman come back, and then eventually Andre Gomez, I still don't think Tom Davies has done anything to be dropped. He was absolutely fantastic on Saturday, not just as goal, but for the rest of the game. He was getting stuck in, made a really, really good last-ditch tackle in the last seconds of the first half as well to keep it at 1-0. And I thought he was fantastic, and that was obviously epitomised by his goal. Really, really good header. You can see exactly how much it meant to him. And, you know, we're 1-0 up, and all of a sudden the Evertonian in you's thinking, is it too early? Are we now going to go and collapse? Are we now going to go and let that get to our head? But we didn't. We continued to go on in the exact same fashion, and it reminded me a little bit of the West Ham game, the first half in the West Ham game, where we scored early then, and, you know, you were thinking, are we going to let this get to us? Is this, you know, we now going to sit back and try and defend that? But we didn't. We continued to press, and we continued to pepper the goal, and it made me think, you know, obviously there's been a lot of criticism for Marco Silva over the last few weeks and months, and I'm not sitting here saying that Marco Silva should be let off and that everything's alright now and that, you know, it's all done and dusted and everything's fine and dandy. It's certainly not, and there's a lot of issues that still need to be addressed at the football club. But it makes me think maybe Marco Silva's aim is to have the players go out and play in a positive way and to play with the intention of attacking the opposition goal and constantly creating opportunities and constantly creating shots. And maybe, you know, as much as the blame that Marco Silva gets, which is deserved on a lot of occasions, maybe the players should take some of that blame as well, because, you know, I don't really understand why a manager would consistently change it from, you know, attacking to defence to attacking to defence. There was only 1 point in the game that Marco Silva went defensive, and that was when he brought Michael Keane on in the last, 5-10 minutes of the game when Richarlison limped off injured. But obviously, like I said, the remainder of the first half, we continued to push, we continued to create opportunities. I thought Theo Walcott was really, really in the first half, picking the ball up, running with it, taking players on, using his strength, using his pace, using his ability. And, you know, he cut inside for another opportunity and the ball just evaded everybody. It ends up being a decent save by the goalkeeper. But like I said, it was a really positive, really, really good first half. We were pushing and we were continuing to create opportunities. The only negative and criticism I'd have if I had to be picky was probably that we weren't clinical enough, to be honest with you. In games like that, when we're playing sides like Southampton, who are, you know, poor at home this season and have been in poor form, when you're creating opportunities and when you're bursting down the wing and when you're using pace and when you're using energy, I think we really need to make the most of it on occasion, because we could have gone in at half time there 3 or 4-0 up, and that would have been the game dead and over with, regardless of Danny Ings' goal in the second half, regardless of the fact that we didn't really turn up for the second half, did we, until we scored the second. That would have been the game done and dusted if we'd have put a couple more of those opportunities away. Obviously, we were clinical in the first 10 minutes of the game with, you know, scoring, you know, Obviously, you're making it 1-0, and that's that's the best thing you can ask for, really, isn't it? At the start of a game, a really, really good start, the best start possible. But then I think from that moment on, we struggled to create anything, serious. Obviously, I don't think Cenk Tosun had his best game. Obviously, I was calling for Cenk Tosun to start. Really wanted him to come in because I thought he'd been playing really, really well off the bench in the last couple of weeks, but never really created an awful lot. Wasn't massively impressed by Richarlison in the first half. Like I said, Theo Walcott was doing a lot of the hard work, but then the easy work that he needed to do, the final bit of creativity, he just lacked. And obviously we went in at half time and it was all fine and dandy, and you're thinking, can Everton go another 45 minutes playing like this, and can we all sit there and not have to stress and not have to worry and just sit back, enjoy a beer, enjoy our Saturday afternoon and think, you know what, this is a good Everton performance? But it's never like that, is it? It's never like that. We'll talk about the second half in just a minute. I'm just going to dive into the live comments, so don't miss anything. Clutchy says, yes, Cam, how you doing? I'm not doing too bad, mate. Hope you're doing well. Craig 90 says, good in, but most build on it away games and be more consistent. Spot on, mate. We're going to talk about that, how this could be a possible kickstart to our season later on in the stream. Max says, what do you think about Arteta being our manager if Marco was sacked? So if you don't know the rumour, basically it's just being rumoured by a journalist who I believe works for the Daily Telegraph. Don't quote me on that, but anyway, he's just come out and said that Everton are looking on the possibility of bringing in Mikel Arteta if Marco Silva is to be sacked. I think off the back of a decent away win, off the back of a couple of weeks being unbeaten, a game against Spurs that we realistically should have won, I think it's I understand why the talks are still going on about replacing Marco Silva and bringing somebody in to replace him. However, at the minute, I don't think the club will be looking to replace Marco Silva. Certainly not while he's winning, and certainly not while, the players seem to be playing with, a certain bit of confidence and a certain bit of enjoyment in the game, and as well within the Carabao Cup as well, which I think is a big, big thing for the club. So, for me, the Arteta thing's a bit strange because there's a lot of people that want Marco Silva to leave the club but want Arteta to come in. But the reason they want Marco Silva to leave the club is because he's not experienced and he's not had that experience. Now, granted, Mikel Arteta's been sat next to arguably the greatest manager to ever grace the earth for a period of time, but he's not really had that experience managing on his own and being on the front line on his own. And, it's all fine and dandy when you're standing next to some, a tactical masterclass in a manager of Guardiola, although he was absolutely shite yesterday. But it's alright when you're standing next to somebody like him, but when you've got to do it on your own and you've got to lead the line, it's a lot different. So I don't really know how I feel about Mikel Arteta. Obviously there's the Everton connection, and it would be unbelievable to see him back, and it'd be, obviously he was one of my heroes growing up as an Evertonian, so it would be really, really nice. But like we've said, in years gone by, with Osman, with Hibbert, with Rooney, with Baines, with Coleman, with Jagielka, with all of these players, there's no room for sentiment in football, really. And if we're bringing Mikel Arteta in on a sentiment basis, then I don't know if I'm really happy with that. But again, I think the rumours for Marco Silva's replacement are starting to die down a little bit now. Doesn't mean that they're not going to creep back up again if we go on and lose next week. Obviously not next week, after the international break, and I know we start to struggle in December, but I don't really know how I feel about Mikel Arteta, if I'm being honest with you. Carl says, great gutsy performance. Tom Davies is becoming what he's supposed to be. Last year he bossed the midfield. Every attack was through him and every tackle was him. Playing exceptional. Sidibe class again. Yeah, I thought Sidibe played really, really well. Absolutely fantastic cross for the goal, the second goal, obviously Richarlison's goal. Just to touch on Tom Davies there, totally agree, mate. I think Tom is playing with confidence now, and Tom's playing with his head up, and Tom Davies is a player that he's always had that in him. He's always had that quality. He's always had that presence in him, but I think he really struggled under certain managers for Tom Davies. He really struggled under Koeman. He really struggled under Allardyce as well. He struggled to get game time, and he struggled when he was on the pitch to lift his head up and actually play with confidence. And I understand that it must be hard for a 19, 20-year-old lad to, put a pair of football boots on, go out in an Everton shirt when you've got a lot of the crowd, which, let's be honest, a lot of the crowd who were doubting him and saying he's not good enough, he shouldn't be anywhere near the team, this, that and the other. You hear the old Everton Dars stuff on Twitter, and I don't necessarily agree with that, but there was definitely a lot of criticism for Tom Davies, and I think Tom's starting to prove now to all of us as a fan base, even me, who I've said before, I've questioned whether Tom Davies is good enough to be in and around the first team, or whether he's just a squad player. But I think he's proven to a lot of us now, including me, that he's a real top footballer, and when he's playing with his head up and when he's playing with confidence, he is fantastic going forward. He's not afraid to tackle, he's not afraid to make a mistake, and he's not afraid to put his body, on the line where it could hurt. It could have hurt him on Saturday when he went in for that header. He could have headed the fucking post, somebody could have clattered into him. He's not afraid, and you can see exactly what it means to Tom to play for Everton Football Club. When you've got a player that has got natural ability and is good technically, and you're mixing that with that absolute pure emotion that they have towards the football club. Growing up as an Evertonian, his absolute dream was to play in front of this, in front of the crowd. You see what he was like when he scored his first goal against Manchester City at Goodison, threw himself into the crowd. When you mix that together, you've got a real good combination, and I think that's what we're seeing from Tom Davies at the minute. Ruben Crimson says, Max, don't think that will happen. He's waiting for the City job, which he could potentially get if Guardiola doesn't, pick his game up. Chris says, hi mate, we'd love you win. Thank you very much, Chris. Carl says, I doubt we're going to sack Silver if we beat Norwich. We go 8-5. I don't really know what that means. Don't know whether that means 8th or to 5th. But yeah, Marco Silva's not going to get sacked if he's continuing to win, and it doesn't make sense. Jeff says, alright Cam, sorry I've not been able to talk about Everton for a while because honestly it's just too depressing, but it's nice to have a win to talk about. No worries, Jeff, no worries. It is exactly. It's nice to actually sit down and after an away game be positive and be smiling and not be sitting here saying about how shit we were. Max says, what do you think of VAR yesterday in the Liverpool match? I'm going to do a video on VAR Wednesday. Wednesday's video is going to be a video rather than a live stream, and it's going to be talking about VAR, not just for Everton, but for, in general, and not just VAR as well, the refereeing standard. Manchester City should have had 2 penalties. There's no other way around it. It's as clear as day. But like I said, I'm going to cover that in a separate video because I think it needs talking about massively. Carl says Charleston was fantastic as well. Same with Holgate and Mina. Yeah, the defence were absolutely brilliant. We'll talk about the team as a whole in just a second. Access that Everton could have pressed a lot more, tossing a bit slow but gets the job done. Fair enough. Carl says Walcott once again brilliant. Yeah, Craig 90 says I worry about the December fixture with a thin squad though. Even though Marco does okay against the big teams, I worry as well, mate. I think that's only natural. Where are we in the live comments? Guarov says, where do? What's happening, Guarov? Craig 90 says we need a proven striker, a centre mid and a centre back in January. Can't disagree, mate. Eric says, I really don't think the performance was that good. People are talking about it like we were fantastic. I thought we were okay. I didn't think it was fantastic, and we'll go on to talk about the second half in just a second. Like I said, the first half was very positive. It was very good, but we could have been a lot more clinical, and ideally, in an ideal world, we'd have scored a lot more than what we did. We'll talk about the second half in a minute, which was when, we started to let our game go a little bit. If you're enjoying the stream, by the way, please do hit that like button. It means a massive amount to me. Guarov says, what do you think of Tom Davies' long-term position? How good do you think he can be? Central midfield, mate, to be honest with you. Not central defensive midfield, not attacking midfield, just plain central midfield, and I think he can be a future Everton captain and a future Everton legend. Chris says, unfortunately, international break coming up. Luckily, it's the last one until March. It is exactly, just as Everton get an away win as well. Carl says, Tossen was shit, missed 3 easy chances. DCL is much better, should start the next game. Fair enough. Jeff says, I do have some sympathy for Marco. It's difficult to build momentum when you have to keep changing the team because of injuries. Spot on, really good point. He says, too many false downs. I'm not going to be taken in again. Fair enough, and I think it's important that we don't get too ahead of ourselves, but we also do enjoy the fact that we've won an away game for once. Chris says Arteta be waiting for the Arsenal job too, possibly. Exactly, there's Arsenal and City there that are potentially going to lose their managers before Everton do, and I say that because I think their boards are more proactive to do that than ours are at the minute. Eric says Marco Silva tactically is poor. It took him 72 minutes to make subs. Second half, we were on the back foot, a proactive and a good manager makes them changes early. He's a reactive manager, that is not good. I do agree he is a little bit of a reactive manager, which isn't the best thing at times. And we'll talk about the second half in a second. Ruben says, thought we were good, just not clinical enough. Morgan Sandler was awful, but the only thing we got to work with. And thought Tossen had the okay game, but needs to be more clinical. That's why we need a striker. Spot on. Carl says we have DCL. Ruben says, no, but we can rely on him for a period of time to score every game. And Carl says DCL has 6 in his last 8. I still think we need the goal scoring striker. Ziad says Arteta for manager. I don't know, mate. I'm not too sure. Ruben says, I'm not saying he's bad. He's a great player with potential. Just needs experienced striker. Where are we? Eric says, Tom Davies is good, but the jury is still out for him. 5 good games doesn't mean he's good enough. He has to play like that consistently. And then I can say he's good enough. Spot on, mate. Tavel says, Silva in 3 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw is not sacking form. It'll be 4 wins and a draw if not for VAR fans. Want a quick fix, which doesn't exist. Silva needs all his players back and another window. In my opinion, fair enough. Carl says if we beat Norwich, we can go 8th to 5th. Yeah, we can. Ziad says looking forward to an Everton career mode. Yeah, hopefully it is in the pipeline. Hopefully it'll be coming soon. Carl says hold my hands up. That loan has helped Holgate massively. It has. Chris says shows how much what back-to-back wins can do. Carl, exactly, mate. Where are we? Tal says I think we beat Norwich, and if we get a point from Leicester and Liverpool without a hiding at Anfield, it wouldn't be too bad. The run after that isn't as bad as it seems. See, it says Ollie or Silva. Morgan Sandler wasn't playing to his full potential, says Gamer Killer. Fair enough. He made a mistake for their goal. He did make a bad mistake. Alex says Walcott as good as decision making is shocking. Tavel says DCL developed because he was given game time. DCL was shite ages and now we've seen the benefits of him getting a run in the team. Fair enough. Cal says he's been our best player in the last 5 games. Zia says, would you take Emily? No. Cal says, Morgan Stanley, there's no potential. Jeff says, who's Eric? He's in the chat. Cole says, hi Cam, who have we got after the break? I'm not too sure, actually. I've got a sneaky feeling it's a decent team. Hang on, bear with me 2 seconds. Probably should have looked at. We've got Norwich at home, and then we've got Leicester away, and then that's when the December fixtures start, where, you know, we realistically, we don't want, do we? We don't want. I'm just going to tweet this team out while I'm on my phone. Saves me going on it again. If you're enjoying this team so far, please do hit that like button. We'll talk about the starting 11 and we'll talk about the second half in just a second. Hernandez says, I don't understand people keep criticising Davies even though he's playing well. We're crying out for Gordon. What happens if we can't perform and the fans going to crucify him as well? Yeah, very, very good point. I think it was good that Marco Silva didn't bring Anthony Gordon on. Obviously, he was on the bench on Saturday. A lot of fans were calling for him to have at least some involvement in the game. A lot of fans calling for him to come off the bench when things weren't going so well. I think it's important that we don't rush Anthony Gordon into the first team, especially when we're not guaranteed to be winning a game. And you're absolutely spot on there. What happens if he doesn't, if he struggles, if he doesn't put in a good performance? You know, the fans then write him off. Towers has agreed on Walcott, played well recently, should be keeping his place, but still lacks in decision making. Spot on. Carl says every must. I have a crush on DCL. Hernandez says Silva may be trying to protect the young players. He is definitely. I think that's a fact. Zia says I apologise for my previous behaviour, Cam. No problem. Chris says can't wait for December fixtures. Can be too much, but same time. You want to see your team constantly playing if your team is in good form. Exactly, which ours are in. I don't know whether we're in good form at the minute. I wouldn't say good form, so it's still a little bit worrying for us Evertonians. Carl says, yeah, that will be alright when it's one's team. It's been the last 3 or 4 seasons, mate. Just be sound and Cam won't time you out. Spot on. Eric says, what do you think Moise Keane not being in the squad? Strange, he travelled. He did travel. I don't know whether there's been an injury or an illness or something that's happened there, or he just hasn't felt up for it. Obviously, he travelled with the team. I do feel a little bit sorry for Moise Keane, to be honest with you. I think it's not, a lot of it isn't his own doing. A lot of the decision making from Marco Silva regarding him has been poor. I don't think he's necessarily been fantastic when he started or when he's played games. But I think it's only a matter of time. He needs to be given game time and he needs to be given that trust and that opportunity. So I do feel a little bit sorry on him. Jeff says, sorry I misread that post. Carl says, Dortmund have been monitoring Gordon. They're not having him, no chance. Cole says, who are December's fixtures? We've got... Name 5 teams you wouldn't want to play, and we're playing them in December. We've got Leicester twice, Liverpool, Chelsea, United. We've just got all of them. Ruben says Eric's supposed to have a small injury during training. There you go. PG says get in. I'm buzzing for this one. Zia says it was a bit of banter. It did go over the top, so let's try and keep it PG today. PG says, come on, you Blues. Cal says, to be honest, made some of the controversial opinions. Lucky I haven't been timed out yet. And Chris says, you should beat Norwich. I think we should beat Norwich. You know, Norwich again are in really, really poor form. Started the season well, but in really, really poor form. And we need to go out there and make a statement to Goodison Park, and we need to get the 3 points. Anyway, back on to Saturday's game, obviously getting involved in the live comments there, as we always do. Anyway, going into the first half, really, really positive. Really, really, I'd say good first half. Could have been a lot better, could have been a lot more clinical, but, you know, nothing to really realistically fault other than that we didn't score a lot of goals in the first half. Southampton were giving us no threat whatsoever. We were breaking forward, we were positive, it was attack and play, and players were playing with a smile on their face, and the likes of Yerry Mina, Mason Holgate, absolutely fantastic again. Had a couple of blips in the game, to be honest with you. One right at the end of the first half where, you know, Mason Holgate loses the ball, Yerry Mina just throws himself on the floor, and a last-ditch tackle from Tom Davis saves a shot from a Southampton player. So, you know, other than a couple of little blips, I thought defensively we were spot on, absolutely spot on at the weekend. Obviously, we go in for half-time, we're all sitting there and all thinking, yes, can we go again? Can we put in another performance like this? Can we sit back and can we relax? But it wasn't that way, was it? I'd like to say Everton come out for the second half, but I really, really don't think we did. I don't think we actually come out until Richarlison backed the second goal, if I'm being honest with you. Obviously, listen, you know, we Southampton come out fine, and obviously they've had the better team talk. The team talk that had told them basically get your asses in gear, or you're going to lose this game by quite a hefty margin. Southampton come out pretty much instantly, 5 or 10 minutes in. I think their right winger gets the better of Morgan Stanley, and it's really, really poor defending from Morgan Stanley. Now, I don't want to dig him out too much, I don't want to have a go at him too much, but you know, it is poor defending from Morgan Stanley. He lets the player get the wrong side of him. He's in a position at that point that he can't do anything. He can't make a tackle, he can't lunge in, he cannot do anything at that point because the player's got goal side of him, and he knows that he's either got to let the player do what he's doing in making that pass that ultimately ends up leading to the goal, or he's got to bring him down, and the only way he's bringing him down is by giving away a foul and committing a foul, and therefore committing a penalty, which is therefore pretty much a goal anyway. Morgan Schneiderlin, at that split second where he lets that player get past him, he's lost that situation there. He may as well not be there, because he can't make a challenge, he can't put his foot in, because he knows the player's going to go down. And at the end of the day, with all the corruption in football and with the shocking level of refereeing, player goes down, that's it, it's a penalty. VAR's given it, he gets nowhere near the ball, and then that situation is created anyway. So it's quite poor by Morgan Schneiderlin to let the player get the wrong side of him, because he leaves himself with no option there but to just stand off him, really. But it's not all Morgan Schneiderlin's fault. Player puts the ball, across the box, and again, we're watching defensively. We're watching. It's a massive lapse in concentration. I don't think anybody's picking up any Southampton player, and I don't think anybody's really awake. Again, like I said, we just didn't come out for that second half. Ball comes across the box. It's an easy tap in for Danny Ings, and who else is going to score? Let's be honest. If there's a Liverpool player in a team that we're playing against, they are almost guaranteed to score. Danny Ings scores every time he plays against Everton. Danny Ings puts the ball in the back of the net, and all of a sudden it's typical Everton, same old shite. We haven't come out for the second half. Why do we always do that? Why is it always the same? And you are sitting there and you are thinking, right, this needs to be a wake-up call now. These players, if anything, these players need to wake up and realise, hang on, we've been much the better team for 45, 50 minutes of this game. We're 60 minutes in and it's now 1-1 because we've lapsed concentration, and we've totally took for granted the fact that we're the better team and we're playing better, and we've just thought, you know what, we don't really have to worry about them attacking. They've attacked once, and what Premier League teams do is they kill you off. They are clinical, and that's exactly what Southampton done. They put the ball in the back of the net, despite how poor they've been recently, despite how poor they might be, despite the fact that they might be, they might be up for relegation this season. They're still going to score tap-ins from 5 yards out, and that's exactly what Danny Ings does. Puts the ball in the back of the net, and this is an instant time that Everton need to pick our heads up now and go. Can't let our heads drop, can't let it affect us. We need to pick our heads up and go, because we've been the much better team in that first half, and we'd let Southampton get back in it cheaply. I still don't think we were unbelievable after the goal. I still don't think we created massive amounts of opportunities to go and make it 2-1. I still think we struggled. I still think we were a little bit slow getting into that second half. I still think we struggled to pick ourselves up and go again. Realistically, Marco Silva didn't make any substitutions quickly. I think Marco Silva, again, somebody mentioned it in the comments before, it's something I've used before, a little bit too reactive rather than proactive for me. As soon as that goal went in, despite the fact it was the 55th, 60th minute, there should have been a proactive substitution there for me from Marco Silva. Dominic Calvert-Lewin should have been coming on. Like I said, an okay half for Theo Walcott. Cenk Tosun didn't really do much for the entire game. I think he was quite lucky to be left on for as long as he was, to be honest with you. Obviously, we're continuing. It's back and forth, but I'd say Southampton probably had the better of the ball, the more of the possession, and the better of the opportunities. The game had really, really flipped on its head. It was like night and day. We were so good in the first half, and Southampton were woeful. And in the start of the second half, we were so poor, and they looked like the team that, had dominated the majority of the game. They were coming at us again. They were creating again. They were trying to play around us. Obviously, we make the substitutions. Dominic Calvert-Lewin comes on, which I think was a little bit too late. I think he should have come on before, and Alex Iwobi comes on. And then all of a sudden, probably against the run of play, if I'm being honest with you, Jabril Sidibe, who for me was probably contender for man of the match on Saturday. Absolutely fantastic performance by Jabril Sidibe. He got caught out a couple of times by their tricky winger, who, by the way, threw himself on the floor a couple of times as well and dived blatantly. But he got caught out a couple of times, and he gave away a silly foul at the edge of the box at one point, and you're sitting there and you're thinking, don't give away fouls there. That's really not the position to be giving away fouls. But overall, for me, I think Jabril Sidibe was absolutely fantastic on Saturday. He was everywhere, whether it be right back, left back, centre mid, right mid. He was absolutely everywhere on the pitch. Every time you're seeing an Everton player pick the ball up or control the ball, or every time we were controlling the game, Jabril Sidibe was at the heart of that. He was covering for Luca Dean at times, he was covering for the centre half at times, he was everywhere on the pitch. And you know what, I don't think I've seen a player for quite some time with as much stamina as that man has got. And for me, he's our number one right back. Now, I love Seamus Coleman. Seamus Coleman is an Everton legend, always will be, for what he's given to this football club, for obviously only costing a very little amount in transfer fee. He's given his absolute all to our football club, and he always will be an Everton legend. But for me, a little bit like the Leighton Baines situation with Luca Dean, it's time to step out now, and Jabril Sidibe steps in, and I really, really want Jabril Sidibe to become an Everton player permanently. Now, there's a buyback clause, there's a purchase clause for under 20 million, under 15 million. Let's get it paid, Brands, let's get it paid, Machete. Let's not fuck about, because we've done absolutely unbelievable business on the other side of the park, and we've found a left back there in Luca Dean for, again, under £20 million, who for me is the best left back in the Premier League and one of the best left backs in Europe. Now, you'll call me bitty, you might call me silly, but that's just what I'm seeing week in, week out. The lad is absolutely fucking unbelievable, and we've got him for under £20 million, from a Barcelona team that, obviously he wasn't really in. He was on the fringes of him. Marcel Brands has gone there and he's picked him out, and he's gone, you know what, we'll have him. We need to do the same with Djibril Sidibe. We're now seeing a player in Djibril Sidibe who quite clearly can slot in, quite clearly can play Premier League football, and can play it at a good level as well. So for me, listen, let's buy him. I'm stuck for words, really, because if Everton don't sign Djibril Sidibe on a permanent deal, considering the price that we'd get him for, I will be really, really shocked. For me, he was fantastic. Obviously, gets down that right hand side, puts an unbelievable ball in straight on Richarlison, and Richarlison doesn't have to do an awful lot, but he does what he needs to do. He slots it away. The celebration's fantastic. It's all brilliant, and all of a sudden Everton are 2-1 up against the runner play, and that's at that point where I think 99% of Evertonians went, fucking win this game now, don't let them get back into it. And I think there was an element in the majority of us that thought, you know what, Southampton haven't got an awful lot of quality here. Southampton probably aren't going to pose an awful lot of threat going forward. But we know as Evertonians, there was always an opportunity for us to give a stupid free kick away, 10-15 yards out. It hit 7 of our players, hit the bar, hit Jordan Pickford's arse and go in the last second, and all of a sudden the game ends 2-2 and it's a draw, and we've come away with a point when realistically we should have come away with 3. But it didn't happen, did it? Again, I think we done very, very well at settling the game down at that point. Wouldn't necessarily say we controlled it with possession, and we had a plethora of opportunities after that. I think we had something stupid like 20 odd shots at the end, which clearly states we dominated the game. But when you're actually watching the game live, I think after that second goal, didn't necessarily look like we were 100% going to win the game, but it definitely looked like we calmed the game down a little bit and we took it down a notch, and we thought, well, you know what, we're 2-1 up now, and we're playing against a team that, with all due respect, haven't got an awful lot of quality and haven't got an awful lot of pace and urgency in them. So let's just quieten it down, play good football, play nice, neat football, passing about, and show that we're the better team. And that's exactly what we've done. Obviously, Richarlison had to go off towards the end of the game. Marco Silva makes a defensive substitution, brings Michael Keane on. I'm not too against that, to be honest with you. I wouldn't have minded seeing Anthony Gordon in there. I wouldn't have minded seeing Moise Keane in there if he was on the bench, but he didn't. I can't be too negative of Marco Silva bringing on a third centre-back with, 5 minutes to go. I thought Yerry Mina and Mason Holgate, were unbelievable for the entirety of the game. Like I said, there was a couple of lapses in concentration, but I thought overall they were absolutely fantastic. And for me, I had no issue with Michael Keane coming on to shore it up a little bit. Obviously, he comes on, sees the game out, and we end up winning 2-1 away from home. And for me, this could be a massive, massive victory. This could be a massive, massive victory for Marco Silva, because this could potentially kickstart our season. Now, this is a game that we were looking at beforehand, and we were thinking, you know what, these are the team that have been poor at home, have been poor this season, similar to us. We haven't been in the greatest of form either, obviously, but this is a crunch game for both teams, really. This is a must win for both teams, and we need to go out there and we needed to get the 3 points, and that's exactly what we done. That's exactly what we done on Saturday afternoon, and it wasn't pretty, it wasn't brilliant, it wasn't the best performance you'll ever see from an Everton team, but you know what, given the current circumstances and given the current away form, and how poor we've been away from home in the last 18 months, I'll take what I can get, to be honest with you. I'd have took a 1-0 off Richarlison's arse. I'd have took anything, and I understand that not all of the issues are sorted, and it's not really the time to sit in and go, everything's fine, we've won 1 game away from home, let's just that's it, now we're going to win every game, that it's all sorted, because it's not. There's still massive issues at this football club that need to be addressed. But you know what, maybe this will give the lads a little bit of a confidence boost. Maybe this will give the lads a little bit of a push towards further away games, because in football, it's a very, very physical game, but it's also a mental game, like any sport is. Boxing's the same. You watch boxing, week in, week out. It's a very, very physical sport, but it's a very mental sport. Boxing bouts can be lost with the mind, and football games can be lost with the mind. And I'm not, saying, confirming that the reason we're being poor away from home is because it's mind over matter, and because there's been a mental block and the players haven't been able to get over that. But maybe, just maybe, there has been a little bit of a mental block in the dressing room when it comes to away games. At the end of the day, if you're playing in a team that have notoriously been bad away from home in the last 18 months, and you're playing under a manager that's notoriously got a poor away record and a poor record when going behind, then when you're travelling on the coach, when you're travelling on the plane, when you're going to these away games, that's always going to be in the back of your mind. Oh, it's another away game. What are the fans going to think? Oh, we're going to struggle. Yes, it's a team we should be beating, which makes it even more pressure, because if we don't win, what's the excuse? Maybe there is that little bit of a mental block, and maybe, just maybe, the players might have got over that mental block now, because they've come into an away game and they're playing a team that they've gone, you know what, we're better than you, and at the end of the day they've come away with the result, and they can sit back and they reflect on that, and they can go, we were the better team, we won the game of football. Maybe that's how we should start to look at future games. We're the better team, we're going to win this game of football. And maybe, just maybe, I'm not saying it will, I'm not saying it'll definitely happen, I'm not saying that's the fix of all the issues and it was a mental block that we've got over and now we'll go on and beat everybody away from home, but I'm just saying maybe this is a real chance now for us to kickstart our season, and for us to obviously, like I said, get over that mental block and go and put some decent performances in away from home against sides that realistically we should be putting performances in, because at the end of the day, listen, we needed to win that game, and we should have won that game on paper, but we should have beat Burnley, we should have beat Bournemouth, we should have beat Aston Villa, we should have beat, plethora of teams this season, we should have beat Fulham last season, we should have beat Newcastle last season, so maybe, just maybe, this will give us that little bit of a boost and that little bit of a confidence to go forward, and at least when we're playing the sides that we know we should be beating, go out there and not only put the performance in but get the results at the end of it as well. Let's start back into the live comments. I'm aware that I've missed loads of comments here, so let's get back into them, of course. Don't want to miss anyone's comments. Ruben says, Chris, it's Everton, anything could happen, spot on. Eric says, that's about the Norwich game. Eric says, I think when we are playing against the big teams, we need pace in the counter-attack. Tossing Sigurdsson and Morgan Schneiderlin cannot play. We need pace players like Moise Keane, DCL, Walcott and Richarlison. Fair enough. I think with the midfield, I don't think we can really blame Marco Silva for the midfield on Saturday. I don't think he had many options. Obviously, Fabian Delph, unfit, can't play. Obviously, we know what's happened to Andre Gomes, Jean-Philippe Gbamin with his injury as well. So I think the midfield on Saturday, although a lot of people have looked at it and gone, right, I don't necessarily want Morgan Schneiderlin or maybe even Gylfi Sigurdsson in there, but there's not many options, let's be fair. I know a lot of people might have wanted Benny Beningame or Anthony Gordon in there, but let's be realistic. Marco Silva was never ever going to do that given the pressure on this game. Carl says, if we lose to Norwich, I'm going to cry. Let's hope that we not lose to Norwich. Ziyad says, ever been bullied or bullied someone? Mad off topic. I've never bullied anyone. I have been bullied as a kid though. Carl says, Eric Morgan, a defensive midfielder, and Moise Keane is the most useless thing ever. I don't think he's the most useless thing ever. I think he's a young kid that's learning his trade and needs to be given an opportunity, but needs to continue working hard. And see, that's the scariest thing to happen to you. I don't know, to be honest with you, mate. I don't know. I haven't really lived a scary life. Taino says, I felt disappointed that we didn't get a clean sheet. Me too, but at the end of the day, I'd rather have had a non-clean sheet and a win than a clean sheet and a draw. So I think if we look at it like that, it's a little bit, I know, and it's good that we're picking little things out of the game. Disappointed that we didn't get a clean sheet. Disappointed that we weren't clinical enough in the first half. It's good that we can come away from a win and pick things that aren't good enough and need to improve, and that's what Marco Silva needs to be doing. He needs to be coming away from this win and not going, phew, thank God that we fucking won that, get that out the way, next one. Now he needs to be looking at it and going, right, you know what, we've won that game, but this could have been better, that could have been better, that could have been changed. And I do trust that Marcus Silva will do that, especially given that he's got a period of time now over the international break to do that, without obviously having to worry about the Norwich game for a couple of weeks. Eric says, Holgate is a good player, but he can sometimes lose concentration. I agree. Ruben says, I like Walcott, to believe he's a cracking player and helps those young players, DCL and Moisey, with experience. I'd agree, to be honest with you. Carl says, can we bring Tony about a retirement? Stewie says, what happens if Hibbo scores? We riot, obviously. Carl says, we go fucking mental if Hibbo scores. We do. Ruben says, anyone here goes to Hibbo's testimonial when he scored? I did. Jorge says, Everton, definitely. Jorge also says, Richarlison, he's Brazilian, he only cost 50 million. Spot on. What a player. What an absolutely fantastic player. If you are enjoying the team so far, by the way, please do hit that like button. It only takes a second. I really do appreciate all of the support. If you're new to the channel as well, please do subscribe. Get the stream shared, get the video shared, get it shared to all your friends, all your family, your dog, your mum, your dad, everybody. Get it shared, and let's get as many people in here as possible to talk about the game. Ziad says, what do you think of Liverpool? I hate them. Jeff says, Leicester play the same 11 every week as they do them. Consistency is the key to long-term success. Our constant need for changing the team stops us gaining that consistency. Spot on. But I also think there's a lot of times that we have to change the team that isn't necessarily our fault through injuries or through the fitness issues, which obviously we're seeing with the midfield now. Jorge says, hopefully we do the same against Norwich. Fingers crossed, mate. Cal says, Leicester are what we want to be. We should be. I agree. Ruben says, thoughts on Richarlison. Feels he has a good game, then has a decent game, then a game if he weren't there, but then has a good game. He's a goal scorer, mate, and he's a game winner. And at the end of the day, Richarlison can have an absolutely average game where he hasn't really done much and he's not really involved, but then win the game. And I think that was quite reminiscent of Saturday. I think Richarlison on Saturday wasn't fantastic. I don't think he was involved an awful lot, but he won the game for us, and that's what Richarlison is, and that's why for me he needs to be in the starting 11 week in, week out. Ruben says, agree, Cal, 100%. Jorge says, I honestly think that we have a team that could qualify for the Champions League. We have so much quality, but the mentality isn't there. Fair enough, good point. Ruben says, I'm passionate and heart. Zid says, pray for me, my dad's a Liverpool fan, pray he sees the light. Pray for him. Cal says, is Baines our greatest fullback? Definitely the greatest one I've ever seen, but obviously I understand that there's been a lot of fullbacks before my time. Ruben says, Ziad, your dad is in my prayers. Savile says, looking at Chelsea, their youth players have come from nowhere and they're looking like a top 4 side. Just shows what giving youngsters a chance does. Mount looks good. I think Davis is even better. I would agree. Ruben says, what at the age of Sidibe? I think he's around 28 years old. I'm going to clarify it for you, basically, because what's the point in me just giving a roundabout figure when I can actually Google it? This brilliant thing called Google. 27 years old. There you go. I was one off. 27 years old, so still got a couple of years in him, and for what, around 13-14 million, which is what we're being quoted as a buy-on clause, or a clause to buy him permanently. It's absolutely nothing in this day and age, is it? Jeff says, no, Cal, Gary Stevens was. Actually met Gary Stevens on Saturday, went to the night with Gary Stevens in the Wimslow. Really, really good. Met him, had a little bit of a conversation with him. Belter fella, and obviously a belter fullback as well. Savile says, agreed in the mentality, mate. I agree as well. Carl says, Mount is way better than David. I think they play in different positions, but I think in terms of their qualities, I think they're quite similar, to be honest with you. And Davis has been playing in the Premier League for a lot longer than Mason Mount has as well. I don't think that just because Mason Mount scores more, he's necessarily a better, more technical footballer. But he is a fantastic player, given that. Ruben said, I love the way the players kiss the badge, but no one shows heart except Dean, Sidibe, Davis, and DCL. I think Richarlison does as well. But those players you named there do show a lot of heart. Carl says, Ruben, Richie, Mina, Coleman, Gylfi, Bernard, they all show a lot of heart. Ruben says, Richie and Gylfi, really, and yet, sorry for Bernard, doesn't forget about him. Don't worry. Carl says, Coleman isn't the same anymore, but the man would cut his legs off him and we win a game. Agree, spot on, that's why he's an absolute Everton legend, but if he's not the same and he's not in as good a form as Sidibe, then he shouldn't be in there. Carl says, Richarlison schemes and kisses the badge when he scores, same with Gylfi. Ruben says, but some games it looks like he can't be arsed playing, and no footballing on the wages there, shouldn't be playing with no desire. Fair point. Carl says, either does Davis, Dean. Dean against Brighton and Burnley was pathetic. Let's not talk about the negative performances after we've just got a win. Jeff says, looking at the league, we are still in with a shout of the top 6. We are level with Spurs and only 5 points off 5th, but I have not got too much faith in us still. I'm not ready to believe again yet. Yeah, I think, there's still a lot of work to do, and there's still a lot of things to do, but like you said, we are only literally a couple of consistent wins away from being back in that top 6 race and back in that race for European football, and that just shows the quality of the league this season. It's poor. Ziad says, have you got a card? I don't. Ruben says, hit the like button for your Cal. I assume you mean Cam, but thank you very much, really do appreciate that. Stewie says, I've not got a dog, but I've shared it to him anyway. Top Steve, thank you very much, Stewie, really appreciate that. Ziad says, I'm depressed today, sorry to hear about that. Hopefully hopefully we can cheer it up a little bit. If you ever need to speak, then drop me a message, of course, I'm always here. Cal says, don't you mean Cam? Yeah. Paul says, still not out the woods yet, Cam. Still think we will be massive trouble by Christmas with Silver gone, and beating a god-awful Southampton side won't change my mind. Fair point. Teddy says, hey mate, feels good to get an away win. It's about time. Up the toffee. Spot on. It really is. And like I said, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't the best win we'll have all season. It wasn't the best performance, but at the end of the day, coming from a club that haven't won an away game in months, coming from a club that's had such a poor away record in the last 18 months. Yes, it was against a team that are god-awful at home. Yes, it wasn't the prettiest game. Yes, it wasn't in the prettiest fashion, but it's an away win. And at the end of the day, like I said, sometimes that's all you need to get over that mental block, to get over that mental hurdle, and obviously to hopefully to give us that confidence to push on now after the international break against Norwich at Goodison Park, which needs to be a 3 points for me. No excuse to not give a 3 points, and then obviously going forward again with a tough December period. It's about time that we put in a good run of form, and hopefully this can start to kickstart our season. Now we need the kickstart before December because we've got a lot of tough fixtures, and hopefully this can be it. But at the end of the day, an away win wasn't the greatest performance, but an away win, some really good individual performances. Yerry Mina, unbelievable once again, such a powerhouse of a defender. Mason Allgate, fantastic. Tom Davis, fantastic. Richarlison, a game winner once again. And listen, a win. At the end of the day, a win. Where are we? Terry says, oh, just read that. Cal says, Paul, I didn't say anything, I'm silver out, always be. Ziad says, have I got that? Yeah, Ziad says, ever thought of suicide? I don't really want to talk about that personally. If you're having those thoughts, there's definitely people you can speak to. I definitely, you know, go and try and speak to the Samaritans or anybody that's around you. Like I said, I'm always there to drop a message. But, you know, definitely reach out to people, mate, because that the best thing I ever done when I struggled was to reach out to people. Carl said, Romelu Lukaku, I miss that man. Do miss his goals. Paul says, I can't trust these players, Cam. Fair enough. And Anders says, I'm in the States, but how big are the Machete haters over there? Keep reading about people blaming Machete for some of the issues. Should be better with the money, but would we be better? Only Ken, right? Fair point, and Machete does bring in the money. Room said, not sure if it's not just me, but I feel our club has a lot of negative energy by the fans. Not saying you, Cam, or the chat, but on the bus coming home from the Southampton. Yeah, there is a lot of negative energy. That needs to be changed, but that comes with the poor performances. That comes with the, you know, the players not really showing a lot of heart in some weeks, and the manager not really showing a lot of desire some weeks as well. And I think it all goes sort of hand in hand. Carl says, yeah, no offense, lad, but don't type that message here, Cam, privately, mate. If you feel like that, yeah, you can always message me privately. I say to everyone, message me privately if you need help. Ziad says, people just take the mic when I talk about it. I can assure you now, if you go to the likes of the Samaritans or any mental health services around wherever you live, if you live in Liverpool, there's Talk Liverpool that I see, and if you live, you know, elsewhere, there's definitely going to be services there, your doctor, etc. And I can assure you 100% those people will not take the piss out of it, and they'll definitely help you on your roads to recovery. Southampton, it wasn't nice to listen to, says Ruben. Yeah, it's not. Carl says, oh, Gilfy. And Odran says, it's official, we're the best team in the world. Not yet, but we're getting there. Carl says, Cam is Cal out. I'm not Cal out, mate, I'm not. Anyway, big thanks to everybody for watching. Please do hit that like button if you have enjoyed today's stream. I really do appreciate all of the support once again. Like I said, don't forget to share the stream out if you have enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. It only takes a second. We'll be back on Wednesday for a video this time, not a live team, a video talking about VAR and talking about the, you know, referee and the refereeing standard in this league. We're going to delve straight into it, and we're going to have a proper discussion, because I feel like it's about time it needs a proper discussion. Anyway, big thanks for watching. Massive win for Marco Silva just before the international break. Let's hope we can continue that form after the international break. Big game against Norwich, which we should be winning, and then obviously we start the tough December fixtures, which we really need to knuckle our head down and get as many points as possible. So yeah, says, I'm sorry for bothering you, Cam. No, don't ever be sorry. You're not annoying. Don't ever be sorry. If you ever want to talk about it, drop me a personal message on Twitter at MightyBluesYT. Drop me a message, and we'll definitely talk about it. You're not annoying. Don't apologise, but definitely speak out and seek help as well, because that's the best thing I ever done. Odds says, hate all the Liverpool fans in my school taking the Mickey move. Lewis says, ta-da. Cheers, Lewis. Alex says, yes, Cam. Yes, Alex. Just about missed it, but hopefully you can catch up. Carl says, great team, best Everton fan channel out there. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Carl. Really do appreciate that. Chris says, take care, everyone. Great team as always. Great fans too. Thank you very much, Chris. Really appreciate that. And Anders says, Cam's team is fantastic. All the best. Thank you very much. All the best to you too. Anyway, yeah, that's going to do it for today. Don't forget to join us on Wednesday for that video. Get involved in the comment section of the YouTube channel on that video as well. I want to hear all your thoughts on VAR. If you're watching this live, big thanks to everybody for getting involved. If you're watching the YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and I'll be trying to get catch up and reply to as many of them as possible. Big thanks for watching. Leave a like if you have enjoyed the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Ziad says, what about self-harming? I haven't personally, but I know a lot of people that have, and again, I give the same advice. Definitely talk to somebody, because that's the best thing you can do. And Anders says, see you Wednesday, Cam. See you then. Big thanks for watching. Please do hit the like button if you have enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.